Hello, welcome to get rid of those. Hello, welcome to Revelator Alf. Yes, I am here, Peter. Hello, I am here. Just final setup for this live show. Bit of an impromptu show. I'll give you that. I wanted to come on because there's a couple of things I saw yesterday evening, and also, well, I've seen quite a bit of this recently. It's whether a company like Harley Davidson, whether they're completely out of touch, or motorcycle companies in general, whether they're completely out of touch with bikers, riders, all around the world in terms of what we actually want, or what products we want, or what we enjoy doing. You see, so I thought I'd jump on this because I thought it was a really interesting one. I've seen a few sort of articles that I've read recently that are touching on this theme as well, but also I think there's quite a few comments that I pick up on some of my videos as well, that people feel disconnected from modern day Harley Davidson. I'm not talking about what I was talking about in yesterday's live show. This is kind of slightly different in that people are just, whether you're a fan or not a fan, whether you're an old time Harley Davidson rider or a relatively new rider of a Harley Davidson, there's this kind of disconnect from what they think that we should be having and what we think that we should be having, if you know what I mean. Peter, you're from down under. Hello. And it should be quite late in the evening there, I would imagine. Midnight-ish, I would have thought, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to be sort of digging into that a little bit. But I was out on my bike this morning. I went out for an early ride just after breakfast. Well, I took the dog for a walk. Bob Bailey, who's out there lying in the sun right now, bless him. I think he got a bit tired on the walk. Anyway, so I went out on the heroic Harley for a ride, and getting some wind in my hair, as it were. And I thought, you know what, there's a few things I'm going to do. I was thinking about just making a video about this, but I thought, I'm going to do another live show. I'm not really going to advertise it. I'm just going to see who comes on, and then if people want to watch it later, they can. It's this getting out on the bike. First of all, I thought, I was a bit pent up this morning, a bit frustrated for some reason. I don't know why. And they talk about the motorcycle therapy, and I tell you what, it took me a long time to calm down a little bit. I needed a lot of motorcycle therapy this morning, so I just end up keep on riding around, just trying to. And I think the problem is, and I found this over weekends as well, you start riding around on your bike. It could be you driving around in your car, but sometimes you get really frustrated because there's just too many people. Where I live, there's just too much traffic. There's too many people sometimes. So you kind of, you want to get away when most people are at work, if you know what I mean. So the roads are a little bit quieter, or you want to try and get on some back roads. But anyway, there we go. So my motorcycle therapy this morning took a little bit longer than I thought it was, but I thought it gave me a good opportunity to think about what I wanted to say today, and the kind of things I wanted to talk about. But there we go. Right. Quick slurp of the coffee. Right. So this kind of came up quite a lot recently, where people are really getting fed up with not just Harley Davidson. This is not just a purely Harley Davidson thing. This is more like corporate culture, or more like the modern corporate culture and corporate identity of motorcycle companies in this case. But you can kind of apply this to lots of other things as well. And especially with a company like Harley Davidson, who have harnessed a whole generation or a whole lifetime of, creating this lifestyle, whether you believe it's a myth or not, it's there. And, it's now that modern riders are either buying into it or not, but there's almost like a disconnect. There isn't the same feeling towards the companies anymore with a lot of people, but also they just don't believe that the company are producing products, motorcycles in this case, that people actually want to ride. Peter, yes, 9 p.m. Ed, good morning to you. How are you? See, that's Harley Davidson in particular. Don't make bikes that people want to try. And then this has been going on for quite a while, I've got to say. And and I've made videos about this in the past. In that older time Harley Davidson riders thought there was a problem. Thought there was a problem with the direction in which the company was going. And they thought this is not right, and we're being ignored, or we're not being listened to, and they're not making the bikes that we want to make, that kind of thing. And the way the company have acted in recent years, with trying to evolve, which I've always thought was a good thing, because I think companies do need to evolve. I just don't think they've done it necessarily in the right way, or they've gone far enough in certain respects. But that's just, that's just a personal opinion. But, it doesn't make me right. It doesn't make me wrong. It's just an opinion that I have, or an observation that I have about the way they've tried to change things. But for some people, this process of change that Harley Davidson have implemented over the last sort of 10, 15, 20 years, let's say, has gradually eroded what they once knew as a company. And this is why so many people just don't want to associate with modern Harley Davidson. They like the bikes, yes, they like the older style bikes, whatever, and they still love custom bikes and custom parts, and the rest of the Harley Davidson fandom or appreciation society is still there. But what they've done, they've kind of disconnected that away from the company. Now, the company might still trying to be holding on to that and trying to be selling you that line, but riders or bikers, whatever, they've kind of disconnected themselves. And it seems as if that people have finally, maybe not finally, but bikers have kind of realized that, this is just one big corporate entity. And we thought that they were something else, but they're not. We thought that they had our best interests at heart, but they don't. We thought that they were producing motorcycles for the everyday rider, but they're not. So people are either priced out of buying Harley Davidsons, they just don't fit in with the new model, the hipster model, as it were. Or the independent workshops, the independent dealerships have kind of been closed down, or well, not closed down necessarily, but possibly forced out of a close relationship with Harley Davidson in favor of Harley pushing the big dealerships all over the world. So it's been a change. There's been a rift, and it's been a growing rift, not only amongst certain riders, but also within workshops, within private dealerships around the country. There wasn't an alternative to Harley Davidson in the United States, for example, especially in the cruiser tourer market. Yes, you had Honda with Honda Goldwings. Yes, you've got BMWs. But until Indian re-emerged, as it were, well, Victory, of course, you could say, first had started to nibble away at the Harley Davidson world, but then Indian came in and they started to take a few more sizable chunks out of that Harley Davidson market share. But still, it's still Harley Davidson dominated, isn't it? Especially over there. Here we go. Frank, hello. Harley Davidson Incorporated, building motorcycles for golfers since 1999. I think this is what I'm alluding to here, and this is not necessarily my opinion, but it's something that I'm picking up on more and more, that people are. They're saying it's just not the same. It's just not what agreed. It's not just HD. Other car companies are the same as well. And yeah, exactly. I by this point. And I just wonder if, Harley Davidson are in particular, but I'm going to bring up some other companies here as well and give you an illustration of what I'm talking about. Whether Harley Davidson are in tune with older riders, but are they in tune with newer riders as well? And let me show you. I'm going to share a screen here and see if I can show you. So this is the YouTube channel for Harley Davidson, right? So let me just show you that. Okay, so hopefully you can see that there. There we go. Right. So Harley Davidson here, they've got 304,000 subscribers. Okay, it's not a tremendous amount. And they've got all their little mini videos of, when they're trying to bring out a new bike, and the latest videos have been about the Nightster, of course. And they're bringing these out. Let me just show all the videos here. And I've got the king of the baggers and all this kind of stuff, and little stories and everything like that, which on the face of it you think, okay, that's fine, that's good that they're showing that, and they're showing their products and everything like that. But there's something a little bit chintzy about it. There's something just not quite right. It's very modern Harley Davidson to come out with a little life story, or come out with a, we're going to show you, we're going to bring out a brand new motorcycle, but at the same time we're going to have all these little videos about custom bike builders, what they're going to do with it, or the whole Jason Momoa thing, when he was making videos about them as well. And there just seems, it's just a bit too marketed. Do you know what I mean? It's just a bit too, overly polished, I would say. If we look at somebody like Triumph, see if I can do that one. Triumph. Here, there we go. Right, hold on. I want to show Triumph here. Similar kind of thing. There we go. Right. So Triumph, am I showing that? Yeah, there we go. Triumph here. They've got their celebration of their years. They've just gone through a 120-year process, all their celebration as well. So they've got lots of videos about that. And that, look, it's good, but it's kind of in this similar kind of vein, really. But look, they've got their new bikes, and this is what I would expect from a YouTube channel, the marketing department of a motorcycle company. Yeah, you've got new bikes, right? And well, show us your new bikes, talk about your new bikes, that kind of thing. But again, they're in this big celebration now of 120 years. So I get that. I get that. I get, why they're doing that. But it just seems to be done a little bit better now. But the point I want to try and make here is they've got 142,000 subscribers, right? Which isn't a lot. Which isn't a lot in the grand scheme of the big company. Harley Davidson, 300,000, whatever. I've got some others here. Honda for Europe, right? I've got 122,000. Kawasaki from United States, 121,000. Indian, 79,000. And Moto Guzzi, right, at 18,000. Many motorcycle companies don't even have a YouTube channel. They might have some online presence somewhere, but they don't have YouTube channels. And Yamaha as well. Yamaha Motor, they have 123,000. Right, let me stop sharing that now. So you wonder, who are they reaching out to? Who are they talking to? Who is interested in them as a company, or their products as a company? Not only Harley Davidson, I'm talking right across the board. Who is this? Who are they aiming their products at these days? Who are they going after? And you think, right, okay, well, what they want to do, they want to go after new markets, because once they've got the people, the likes of me, maybe there is this mindset that they don't have to go after people like me anymore, because they've already got me. They've already got the old timers. They don't need that anymore. What we want is the new people. But the problem is that there's a massive issue here. You've got a problem here where you want to introduce young people, right, and also women, let's say, into the Harley Davidson world. Well, until you have equal pay for everybody, there's always going to be an issue there. And also, young people don't have usually the amount of disposable cash to buy expensive motorcycles. It just doesn't happen. So you're using these people in your marketing to try and convince us old people, hey, guess what? We're really cool now because we're attracting young people. You say, no, you kind of cherry pick them, and this is not real. It's, again, it's part of this marketing facade. So, and again, the likes of getting some Hollywood types involved. Now, the interesting thing about Jason Momoa here, I saw an interview with him the other day, and he was kind of I don't know, it just seems a little bit contrived, the way he talks about these things sometimes, the way he talks about Harley Davidson and all this sort of stuff. And do you know what? If I was talking to him, I'd be like, this doesn't sound right. This doesn't smell. This smells a bit fishy here, if you know what I mean. But according to him, he was knocking on Harley Davidson's door for a long, long time, trying to, get involved with them as well. And they were kind of standoffish a little bit. So I'm not sure how true that is, but it's almost like he was desperate to get involved with them. Yes, maybe because he's a fan, but he wanted to make content and he wanted to make videos about it, or make films about it and shoot footage about it and all that sort of stuff. And I think, well, is he doing it for himself, or is he doing it for the company, or is he doing it for to add another line to it? And it just seems a little bit weird to me, all that kind of thing. So I think sometimes Harley Davidson as a company now, they've made a few, I won't say they made a few errors, but they've just made some interesting decisions over the last few years. And it's created this rift, and maybe there are people out there who think that what Jason Momoa has done for Harley Davidson has been absolutely fantastic. And I can see why people do that. But then there's the other side of people saying, well, what the hell's that got to do with Harley Davidson? Just because he likes Harley Davidson, does that mean that he likes them? That we should be listening to him? That we should, and you could say this about any celebrity endorsement, of a product, let's say, and you think, well, it's a bit naff. And so, from celebrity endorsements or trying to get targeted demographics into videos, let's say, there's young people or women writers. And I know why they're doing it, because they're trying to appeal to new people. And this is why they approach YouTubers, right? To, we're going to fly you out somewhere. You can come and ride these bikes. You know why they're doing it? Because they want content out there. And I've made videos about this where I think you're onto a sticky wicket if you start doing all that kind of stuff. But there is something not quite right. There is something that people have latched onto here, that Harley Davidson and other motorcycle companies, they've lost touch with what people actually want. And a lot of this comes down to price. A lot of this comes down to the products that people are, or the products that motorcycle companies are producing, and the amounts that they want to pay, the amounts that they're asking us to pay for these products, and obviously whether we would want to, and what it really means to us. And then it attracts people with a bigger wallet, a fatter wallet, you see. And then it creates discrepancies or differences within the riding population, as it were, the biking population. And then people will say, oh, well, we've got expensive bikes, and, you've got a smaller bike and it's not good enough, or, you've got an old bike. And I hear these stories all the time where people say, look, the people on the new bikes, they didn't really want to know me, or they look down their nose at me, or they look down their nose at me because I'm riding a really small bike, like a 250cc or a moped or something like that. It happens. Unfortunately, it happens. And they've created this scenario, especially like the likes of Harley Davidson, who in particular are producing bikes, not mass producing bikes, like say, like a Honda, but they're producing bikes that are expensive, relatively expensive, especially the top of the range bikes, 40, 50,000 pounds, dollars, or shekels, or whatever it is. Here we go. Lots of comments here. There we go. Right, so let me just get some of these. There we go. Momoa is chintzy. Well, there we go, Peter. I think so. I think it was really chintzy. And I think what did it for me, especially for that, when they started coming out with a live wire and they put him on a live wire, and I thought, hold on a minute. I thought your whole vibe was that you like the old vintage stuff, or the old stuff. You keep on going about your panhead and all this sort of stuff, or shoverhead or whatever it is he's got, and all this. And he tells a story, and he's a storyteller, right? And yeah, fine, you're a storyteller, and you want people to think that you're a lifetime Harley Davidson guy. Well, you weren't. You're not a lifetime Harley Davidson guy. I'm not a lifetime Harley Davidson guy. I'm kind of I'm a motorbike guy, but I'm not a lifetime. Don't claim to be. And I think sometimes he's given the impression that that's what it is. But then he went on to the Live Wire, and he's doing stuff as if we should listen to him because he's on a bloody Live Wire. And then he does the Pan America, and I thought, what? We should be listening to him because he's on a Pan America. For me, coming from the ADV world as well for a while, in the off-road world where I started off as a kid, as a 10-year-old kid, right? The people who I would have listened to, and I've said this time and time again, if you want to get people to take your product seriously, your ADV, your Pan America, right? What you need to do, you need to get established BMW, KTM, Triumph, ADV riders, let's say, and any other ADV riders out there who know what they're talking about, and get them on it and show it and put it to the test. Not some actor. Not some actor who you've got riding on a few hard dirt trails, or make him go through a bit of water. That's not a proper thing for me. And this is where you look at a company like Harley Davidson and that marketing department, right? And you think, what are you doing? What are you doing? They should embrace $1 Million Bogan. Well, I think they should embrace lots of people who are producing content and advertising their products and making it and showing the world what their products can do, or what people's opinions of them as well. Again, I've made stuff about that, made content about this as well, made videos about this in the past. They are enabling people to only have their products, only review their products, let's say, as yes men. They've got to be positive. They don't want to be independent. It's not as if they're going to say, "Hey Alf, let's have a Harley Davidson party, you and I, and you just tell us all about it." And I'll be like, "Well, okay, fine, let's do it." But you probably won't like what you're going to hear, or you will like what you're going to hear. It really depends what bike we're talking about for a start. So it's there's something not quite right there. Has turned their back on the riders and the engine that saved the company either. They will never force me to buy a new one. Well, look, I mean, again, this is where I see this, and I've read this so many times, and I've heard that people have sent me messages, sent me emails so many times on this very thing, that the older rider, they feel that Harley Davidson has left them behind, as they've kind of ignored them. And I always say this, I think it's an old Russian proverb. I'm going to get this wrong here, but if you're always looking in the past, you're blind to the future. And if you're always looking to the future, you're blind to the past. And if you're looking, I don't know, I forgot the proverb. It's one, basically you've got to have one eye in the future, but also have one eye in the past as well. That's essentially what it's trying to say. And I think this is where it is. There we go. I dig Jason. Seen a really good video on him and how he started riding. He's a knuckle bandhead, old school dude. Great interview. No one likes him because he's got money. He's a bike guy. Good with me. I don't think it's because he's got money. Because I don't think he didn't come from money. He's an actor. He's got money now, of course, because he's a famous actor. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's just because he's got money. I think it's because there's a bit of a disconnect there. There's a bit of lacking a bit of credibility when they talk about these new products, because he was always with these older bikes and all the kind of stuff that he was producing, on his own YouTube channel, and a couple of movies that he'd made. It was the older stuff. So I don't think it's because he's got money. I think there's just a bit of a disconnect between what he embodied and what all of a sudden then he was doing with Harley Davidson. They've also turned their back on the American worker, less union built content. Yeah, more accessories and bling made offshore. Absolutely right. And this is another thing that has annoyed lots and lots of people. And I talked about this yesterday as well, where Harley Davidson came under increasing criticism from President Trump because of their shift of their production and their sourcing of products from outside of the United States. MSB has 116,000 subscribers and is not even supported by HC. Well, most YouTubers are not supported by a corporation. They're not. They're just not. They might get sponsored videos and that kind of stuff, but they won't. And this is where I would look at somebody like $1 Million Bogan, for example, and I would say, well, maybe you want to start thinking about doing content that is not so linked to them, because he's probably not doing it. He's not doing it for them anyway. But you've got to look at, well, he's just making content because he likes to make that content, and he wants to get bigger, of course, and he wants to get more popular, of course. But the kind of content that we collectively are making, we shouldn't be making content to have a close association with a particular company or brand for longer than a video, let's say. And I this is a point that I want to make as well for YouTubers. I kind of fell foul of this last year. I got into, well, there was this company, let's say, and you watch my channel, you'll kind of know about this. They said that we'll give you all these products to trial over winter, and we want you to make content for it. And if you make content for it, then you could be entered into you could get a chance to come away with us and ride in a different country and everything like that and make more content. And I thought, okay, that sounds like an interesting proposition. Not necessarily because I was getting free kit, but it was always like, okay, fine. But after a couple of videos, I thought, hold on a minute. I'm going to be making, whilst you've given me these products to trial, you want me just to keep on making content for you. Hold on a minute. How much is this content worth? How much are you getting out of this? We're not just talking about me, we're talking about loads and loads of YouTubers, right? Making content specifically for you. And I thought, I pulled back from it quite quickly. I was like, hold on a minute. This isn't quite right. And I think, and that was a lesson that I learned very, very quickly, or something I realized very quickly. Say, hold on a minute. You're going to make content for a company that either doesn't give you anything or is giving you hardly anything at all. But you want to almost like be held to a contract to just produce content for them. They didn't say that to me. They didn't say you can only produce content for us. But the implication is that we want you to make lots and lots of content, using our products, let's say, or mentioning our products. And I think this is where the issue is. There's a couple of other YouTubers where it's blatant, what's the word I'm looking for? Product placement. They'll always show you, with they're picking up a cup and it's got the company logo on here, and they're doing that kind of thing, or the YouTubers who are constantly saying, and this video is sponsored by VPN Nord, or this company and that company. It's no different from having a close association with Harley Davidson or any other motorcycle company. If all you're doing is producing content for them, well, you might as well be employed by them. You might as well, if you want some kind of sponsorship deal from them, you might as well be employed by them. Go and join their marketing department. But if they want to have some kind of relationship with you, then yes, they can provide support. They can provide you some, aspect of, okay, we can get another bike here or that kind of thing. But you've got to remain independent from them, I think. Anyway, so I've rambled on there a little bit. Evie and Flathead here. The flatty is a joy to work on. Yeah, yeah. Everything is cheaper to build offshore. We already complained the bikes are too expensive. They would never sell the branded part if they're made in the USA. If it costs another 50%, absolutely right. I mean, there is that. There is absolutely that. How about the failed Street 500, 750 buys a new HD, pays those dumb corporate decisions? Well, again, I just think those bikes were just not very well designed. They didn't look great, but in terms of, and I don't think they were priced right. Again, for what I saw in, if you're going into that kind of engine size market, that style of bike, that sort of commuter type bike, you've got to be able to compete, in financial terms, cost terms, price point terms, but also design and functionality and performance, But there we go. Scoot, hello there. How are you? Sorry. No, sorry, I'm just trying to get a few comments here. Stephen, good morning. It's actually 7:23 p.m. Oh, hello there. Here we go. Here in Germany, I follow the sport bike riders on the Pan America to get some proper info. Well, I think, look, for me, if you want a review of something, first of all, don't look at YouTube. Just go and ride the thing yourself. That's it. I mean, that's, and I'm doing YouTubers and myself a total disservice here. But if you want to review a bike, then go and ride it yourself. If you want to get some kind of an impression of what a bike is like, and you want some visuals, yeah, watch a video as well. But the only way you're going to know whether that bike is right or not, or right for you, is if you ride it. And if you ride it for a while, and you'll figure out what is the good things and the bad things as well. But let's say if I get a motorcycle, Harley Davidson, let's say they said to me, Alf, we're going to send you the Nightster, come and I want you to ride it and review it and everything like that. So totally independent, and you can just do and say whatever you like about it, right? So I'd say, well, and I saw the Nightster the other day for the first time in the dealership, by the way, on Saturday. I'd say, proportionally looks not too bad, very plastic, and right side is okay. Exhaust, it's out of proportion, and the radiator too big, the voltage regulator, why is it still down there? And the left side of the bike looks like a bag of spanners. There we go. So, but apart from that, it looks really nice, so there's, but the point I'm trying to make is that it would be my impression, my interpretation, but that doesn't mean that you should feel like that. And that's why, I just think they make wrong decisions. Companies like Harley Davidson, whilst they got to tread a fine line between having positivity about their products. I get that, of course you do, because you want that. And all companies are exactly the same. Let's not be naive about this. Every company has to be the same. And if I had a company as well, I would want that as well. However, I would also want, more than anything, I want authenticity, and I want integrity, and I want people who are going to make things that or video content or discussion pieces about my products. I want it to be a real conversation. I want it to be a real review or a real reflection of something. And I just don't think they've got it, but there we go. Here we go. I think it's because he's an actor, got money. Other than that, why do people not like him? I'll send you the interview later. He's an actor. Well, he is an actor. I don't think he's a bad guy. All I'm saying is I think that's why there could be a disconnect between why some people thought he was okay for Harley Davidson and some people didn't. Here we go. See, no company is going to approach a YouTuber, ask them to produce content on their behalf unless they're going to make money. Give the YouTuber some free stuff to do cheaper advertising for the company. Well, again, this is what I talked about. I think for a YouTuber, that might, and for a lot of YouTubers, I tell you what, they would jump on that. They would think, yeah, this is fantastic. Let's do it. And those who are, who are, let's say, new to you being YouTubers, they would want that. They love that, right? But those of us who've been doing YouTube a little bit longer would say, hold on, no. If you want to do that, if you want to send me free stuff, fine. But it's not on the condition that I make free content for you. If you want me to have your product on, then we've got to say as well, what kind of a product is it? Okay, what sort of a financial arrangement will there be? You know, that kind of thing. It really depends on the size of YouTube channel you are as well, and how much you can command as well. So there's lots of factors here. But I think, you know, you've got to be careful, again, about just producing content for a company that doesn't necessarily value your content and your style. So my point is this: if you, let's say you are a Yamaha rider, then Harley Davidson approach you and say, we want you to make content for this bike, and you go, oh yeah, that'd be cool, because Harley Davidson's a big name. Then all of a sudden you start making content about Harley Davidson, and you start saying how great it is, it's a brilliant bike and all this sort of stuff, right? Well, everybody's been watching your channel because you're a Yamaha guy and you say it like it is and all that sort of stuff. They're going to be thinking, what the hell's going on here, right? People who are into Harley Davidson, they might clock your video and they're going, who is this guy? Who's this guy talking about Harley Davidson? Have a look at all his other videos. Well, he's just talking about Yamahas. Then all of a sudden he's talking about Harley Davidson. No, it's not quite right. So this is where the problem is. The problem is there's a lack of integrity sometimes. And I don't think it's necessarily at the fault or people are doing it on purpose. I just think they see an opportunity and they're trying to jump onto it a little bit. And I think if companies like Harley Davidson are trying to use these new marketing tactics with YouTubers, with bloggers, with advertising companies, with actors, let's say, and that, you know, the use of actors is nothing new, of course. You know, let's put it that, you know, let's be straight about this. But, you know, there creates this kind of vibe within the motorcycle riding community to say that, you know, that's just not real, or that's just not relevant to us. You know, we want a bike that's inexpensive to buy, hopefully, that works, that's durable, that doesn't need fixing every 5 minutes, that doesn't need to be updated, you know, or upstaged or whatever. If something does go wrong with it, it will be fixed really quickly, and we get parts really quickly, or the parts will be on the shelf, and we won't be charged an arm and a leg, you know, to have this bike fixed or serviced or whatever. And the experience of the dealership would be, you know, you could go on and on and on and on, you know, about that kind of thing. Harley wants a young crowd. Us geezers are past over. Yeah, I would say you're right. I would say you're right. But this is my point from before. Was saying actually, whilst they want younger riders, or they want younger women riders or younger hipster riders, let's say, they're not the ones with the money. Usually, the people with the money are the older generation. The younger people don't have the credit usually. The older people. So this is where the disconnect has been. That you have to reach that 40 to 55 to 60-year-old bracket. That's where their money comes from. But they're kind of alienating a lot of those people. Well, not alienating, but they're not really highlighting those people because they're trying to go after the new markets all the time, or the new demographics, which is fine, which is absolutely great. But you can't just say, right, we're going in this direction, whether it's electric, whether it's liquid cooled, and just kind of ignore those other guys, you know, the other riders who've been making your brand so big over many years, you know. Although you are right, write it yourself on. Write it yourself. Some YouTube, even yourself, tell it's how it is outside a Moco bubble. Yeah, absolutely right. Look, you, put it this way. When, let's say I did a motorcycle review of a thing, I think I've tried to say every single time that this is a motorcycle I am actually interested in riding myself or interested in buying myself. So I'll go to a dealership, and no, I wouldn't tell them when I was filming, but I was genuinely interested in it. That's why I wanted to try it. Okay. And I filmed it just to give you guys an experience of what my thoughts were on it. So that's a motorcycle review for me of somebody who either owns it or is genuinely interested in buying something myself, right? That's where the integrity, that's where the genuine nature of a motorcycle review is. You're not beholden to the company, you're not beholden to the dealership, you're just giving your honest opinion. However, if, let's say, a motorcycle company, they say, hey, we're going to fly a load of YouTubers out to Spain to review this new Triumph, or we're going to go out to America and review this. Look, it's all great. It's all fantastic, whatever. But you cannot tell me that you're going to be independent. Okay. And you're going to be, be able to say exactly what you want when you want it. Right. Because you know that if you want to have that experience again, and if you want to have that opportunity to film and produce content like that again, at some point you're going to have to make compromises. You're going to have to make concessions to what the company want you to produce, right? And as I say, I've experienced this myself as well. And you have to be very firm. You have to be very firm with yourself, but also with whoever you're dealing with, to say, no, I'm not going to produce that sort of content, or I will produce that content. Or you're very clear about it and you say, I'm only going to produce this one video, and this one video will mention your product, let's say, as in a sponsored deal. But that's it. It's just going to be one product. But it's not, it can be about your product I'm going to review, but it's going to be also about something else. So you have to be very specific about it. But if you're trying to say that we've been flown out to ride all these bikes, which I think is great, don't get me wrong. It's not as if I'm saying, oh, that's terrible. It's terrible. No, it's great. All I'm saying is you've got to be careful that what you're saying and what people are watching is a real experience, because YouTube has always been about that for me. It's got to be about real independence, real opinion, everyday opinion, yours and my opinion. It's not corporate opinion. It should never be corporate. But unfortunately, with YouTube over the last few years, or sort of 10 years or so, it's got more and more people trying to sell things, trying to make money here, trying to do things like a business, trying to act like a corporation or have relationships with corporations and businesses. And that's kind of diluted the integrity, for me, of a lot of the YouTube channels, a lot of the YouTube content. I'm not just talking about motorcycling here, I'm talking about right across the board. So it's okay if you want to make it your business and you are trying to earn money and you're trying to do that. That's fine. That's fine. So let's say if a company like Harley Davidson or Yamaha, or I don't know, a Chinese motorcycle manufacturer, they say to me, right, we want to send you your product, a product to review. I'd say, yeah. So I would say is, look, this company have sent me this motorcycle to review. Here it is. I'm going to tell you what I think about it. There we are. But if they said to me, right, we want you to produce it, but you've got to mention this, you've got to mention that, you've got to mention how good it is, whatever, well, I may do that. I may say to them, right, this motorcycle does this, it does this, it does this, it does this. And I've also been told to tell you that by the company as well. That's the only way you're going to be able to maintain absolute integrity. Otherwise, you're just acting as a mouthpiece for a marketing department of a company. And that's fine if you believe that what you're doing is providing a service to your audience. Okay. But if you're not, if you're just acting as a mouthpiece, and you're not honest with your audience and saying, look, I'm getting paid for this, I'm getting paid to give you some information, then all you're doing, you're lying to your audience. And that's why I feel about it. I'm very sort of forthright about that. because I think if you're gonna have people listening to your content or watching your content, the one thing that they've got to know is that it's coming from you or me, right? It's coming from me. It's not coming from somebody who stood behind me. They could pay me to advertise their product, and they can pay me to whatever, and I could say, yeah, look, this set of glasses is really good. Yeah, it's already good. It seems to be well made. Look, there's a link if you want to there. So you can do it in that style. And anytime I've done products in the past, I've done it in that kind of style. I could also say, look, you can get this anywhere, but say there's a link if you want to know where I got this from, all this sort of stuff. Or I'd say, look, this company X has sent me this product over here. I haven't paid for it, they haven't charged me, and there isn't any obligation for me to talk about it or do anything like that. So there were YouTubers who have done this in the past, the likes of big ones like Casey Neistat, for example. He made content about receiving products, and he would kind of talk about them a little bit. So there are different ways of doing it, of still maintaining your integrity, but also you could still earn money from it as well. But there we go. And we've kind of gone way off track here about what I was talking about, Harley Davidson, about the disconnect between what some riders feel and, are they out of touch with modern riders or older riders and bikers in general, and what motorcycling actually means. It's not a fashion show. It's not a parade. I suppose this is the ultimate point I wanted to make. Motorcycling is not a fashion show. It's not a parade. It's not, about looking cool and well, of course, that helps, of course. But it's not. It is about riding bikes. It is about on the road or on the dirt. It is about having a bike that you love riding, or you love looking at, or you love working on, or you love customizing, or whatever it is. But it is about riding that bike, right? And having your life around riding that bike. And if what you're getting from the company as a new product or marketing or videos or merchandise or whatever doesn't fit in with what you believe your motorcycling world is, then you've got to disconnect. Okay. Sorry, nowadays I see many novice riders with more money than sense riding HUs around with their feet on the ground. They need a Honda Rebel. Well, I think a lot of that is down to the finance agreements, isn't it, as well? Where I saw Harley jump the shark was the introduction of the V-Rod. Yeah, I mean, that divided opinion. Actually, I saw V-Rod the other day at a show. Posapalooza, yeah. V-Rod derived from a drag racing bike that was around for some years before V-Rod intro. But yes, a departure from, being honest doesn't sell anything. That is true. That is true. You're absolutely right. You've got me there. It does to me after all you get there in the end. Yeah. That's why I like the reviews Big Rock Moto does. He's doing independent reviews. So I think if you can do independent reviews full stop, that's the only way. Personally, that's the only way. I think as soon as you start doing reviews for companies, and this is, again, I'm not going to be critical of YouTube channels who are doing motorcycle reviews, for example, or they are a review channel of products, because that's what their channel is, right? They're like unboxing therapy or whatever it is, that kind of thing. People who've done that and they've been doing it for a while. But I think if this is your business model, or if this is your YouTube model, this is the premise of your YouTube content, then you've got to make sure that you can continue that YouTube content. And the only way you're going to be able to continue that YouTube content is to be in some ways positive, always positive about the product that you're reviewing, unless by a freak act of nature, right, that overnight you get 20 million, 30 million subscribers, right, and you're getting 10 million views per video, right, then all of a sudden you can say what you like, You're not beholden to anybody. But what would happen is, and I've said this before, if let's say a company wants you to review their product, you would say, yeah, okay, well, my video, I got 30 million subscribers, and I've got 10 million people watching every video. So what's that worth to you? Right, that would be £50,000 per review. Let's say £100,000. And if the company said, no, we're not paying that, you say, okay, well, I'm not reviewing your product. Or, do you know what? I'll talk about your product, and I'll talk about it in a negative way. Either way, the YouTuber wins. But that is a very small percentage of people who can do that, who command that kind of authority. Most YouTubers, even if the YouTuber's got 200, 300, 400, 500,000 subscribers, right? In terms of dealing with big corporations, that's nothing. Now, you've probably heard about this before, but, other YouTubers out there who have had close relationships with Harley Davidson, in this case, but there's lots of other YouTubers who have had close relationships with other corporations, and they've had to move away from them. They've had to come away from them because it was just too restrictive. And this has not just happened to YouTubers. This has happened to people in media, actors, singers, entertainers in general, for example, people in the news, whatever. People in fashion, whatever. They have a contractual relationship with a company. Then that company starts dictating what they can and cannot do, what they can be riding, what they can be seen wearing, all that kind of stuff. So all of a sudden there comes to a point where you can say, okay, how much am I getting paid for this? If I'm not really getting paid for it, or not really getting supported, or not even getting listened to, there's no point in having this relationship. And that's happened quite a few times. There we go. Right. Yeah, honesty, respect are paramount to me. Well, they are to me as well. Integrity, absolutely, and that's exactly what I feel about this. I think that, if you're gonna be talking about a company like Harley Davidson in particular, and this is kind of a roll on from yesterday's live stream as well. But there's got to be a proper connect with riders. There's got to be a proper connect with people who have bought your bikes and will buy your bikes in the future. And it's almost like you need to have two sides to a marketing department, or two sides to the company image, the corporate image. It's that one eye look in the future, one eye looking in the past. You can't always be looking in the past because you're blind to the future, and you can't be always looking to the future because you're blind to the past. You don't know where you've come from, so you've got a lack of. If you ignore what you've done in the past, then you're just going on into the distance, and you kind of you're losing your identity. And this is the criticism, let's say, of Harley Davidson in recent years, that they've kind of, whilst they show you in marketing videos, oh yeah, look at the past and the lifestyle and history, they've actually they have tangibly blinkered themselves to the past riders, the past riding experiences, or the past bikers, let's say, and they've moved off into the distance. They've trying to evolve, and they've pulled away too quickly, just like the stroppy teenager is trying to pull away from his parents too quickly, and everybody's trying to hold on a little bit, and he's just pulling away and moving away. And this is where the criticism of Harley Davidson comes from. They say, well, actually, you've changed. You've changed, man. You've changed. You're not of us anymore. You're not the motorcycle company of the people anymore. Of people who are into Americana, or people who are into, if you're from America, into that patriotic feeling. It's changed. They want to try and sally this dream, as I talked about yesterday, but it's not there. And this is where the disconnect has come from. But overwhelmingly, I would say, the reason why people feel that they've lost touch with Harley Davidson is the price of the products, the price of the motorcycles in particular. you know, when you've got motorcycles that are 40, 50,000 pounds, dollars, whatever it is, shekels, something's not right. Now, that, yeah, granted, not many people are going to be buying those bikes anyway. They don't sell in great numbers. But when your lower range bikes are in the 12, 13,000 pound mark as well, and your average bikes are in the region of about 20, 21, 22, whatever, 23,000, let's say, for stock bikes and the tourers and everything like that. You know, then you're onto serious money, and that's big money. You know, these are people, you know, they haven't got that money to go and buy a motorcycle, or they might not have the credit to go and buy that. And if they do, those motorcycle payments, those repayments are, you know, that's a big chunk of money to come up with. So Harley Davidson are selling you this, but not just Harley Davidson. All the motorcycle manufacturers, the big ones that are selling the premium products, let's say, all the expensive products, I should say, they're all doing this. They're trying to create that desire that you want it. You want this thing. You don't want it. You want it because they're telling you that you want it, but you definitely don't need it. You definitely don't need it. And this is where the companies who are producing cheaper bikes, they are going to profit from this. They're going to profit from this because they're just going to, the quality of those bikes can get better and better and better. And if they can keep their prices down, you're going to see a shift of not necessarily my generation or older generation of Harley Davidson riders in particular, or ones that are riding Ducatis or whatever, but you'll have the newer generation who may not even come to this brand at all. And this is where I've said this time and time again, that companies like Harley Davidson, they have to be very careful on who they're marketing, who they're targeting, who they're marketing, and or who they market their bikes to, and what the message is, what the communication they're making to these newer riders, you know, and are they going to be able to retain people in the future? I'm not so sure that they would, you know. Doug, hello. I've noticed lately when I started riding, you worked your way up the ladder. I started on a Honda CB125. Now people start with big road kings. It went to who has the most money, not talent. Well, again, there's a lot to be said for this. You know, people are getting their first bikes, and there's nothing wrong with this, by the way. There's nothing wrong with this. But I take your point that people are getting their first bikes as first ever motorcycles as Harley Davidsons, and that's absolutely fine, because if that's what you want and that's what attracts you to riding, then fine, there's no problem in that at all, because that's what you want. You want a Harley Davidson. That's what got you into motorcycling. So from that point of view, that's an absolute positive. The problem is that costs a lot of money. Okay. And my argument is that you can get the same riding experience or the same riding joy out of something a lot less. But there comes a point where you're not going to be able to afford that riding experience from Harley Davidson. It's just too much. In fact, it might turn into a situation where you can't afford them. You can only rent them or something like that, you know, for some people. As you say, Scoot, everything is getting expensive. You pay just as much for a Ducati V4, yeah. That's right. You do. As I say, all manufacturers of the well-established manufacturers, let's say, they all produce bikes that are really expensive. But a lot of the other manufacturers also produce expensive bikes, but they also produce the cheaper bikes as well. And then there are companies, let's say like Royal Enfield, for example, the Indian motorcycle manufacturers, Chinese motorcycle manufacturers, the European design houses that are using Chinese-built engines and motorcycles components. They're producing bikes that work, that are great, and they look pretty good, getting better all the time, and they're cheap. They're cheap. And so who are they appealing to? They are appealing to people who are just getting into riding. You know, if you take the likes of BMW, some great bikes, but they're really expensive as well. Yeah, they've got a couple of cheaper bikes, but they're still really expensive. But again, you know, I had this conversation with a BMW dealership a few years ago, and say, you know, the tech on these bikes, you just don't need it. And you know, the salesman at the time was saying, "Well, this is what our riders want, and they're expecting this." And I was like, "No, they don't expect it. You're telling them that they should expect it. It doesn't mean that they need to expect it. You know, that they are expecting it. You know, so I mean, look, that's it. Wait till the GS comes out, probably more than the V4 and Pan Am. Well, yeah, you're talking 20 plus thousand, I would say that for that, the new GS. Maybe even more, maybe even more. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, look, they're all expensive bikes. They're all expensive bikes. But I think, you know, I think, you know, Harley Davidson, that was rooted in its ability to try and connect with everyday riders or everyday people, and they sold stories and they sold lifestyles, and they, you know, about I don't know, you know, this whole kind of motorcycle club outlaw type thing, you know, this rebel without a cause and everything. And I kind of made videos about it recently, about this whole freedom, you know, the Harley Davidson freedom, the American Eagle, and all that sort of stuff. It's all marketing. It's all marketing, because when it comes down to it, you know, people have realized that that is not what Harley Davidson is about. Harley Davidson is a corporation. Harley Davidson has corporate mentality. You know, then they're not, you know, a small motorcycle custom shop that's building real cool ass, you know, custom bikes, cool ass choppers, hardtail choppers, and you know they're riding around, you know, drinking whiskey and, you know, smoking cigarettes, you know, and that's their image and that's what they're doing, and but they build these kick-ass bikes, and you know, and they're having parties at their workshop every, you know, every weekend and everything like that. And not, this is what, you know, this is what us and this is what our product represents. And if you're into that product, or if you're into that kind of lifestyle, or you just dig these kick-ass bikes, then this is it. This is what you want, right? But they're real, they're authentic, they live that, right? However, Harley Davidson, they've been trying to sell that for many years, but they're not living that. They haven't lived that for years. You know, they've never really lived that. It's all about marketing. It's all about that. Anyway, here we go. I think $1 Million Bergen hit it when he was interviewing Matt Laidlaw. That video HD put out with the Misfits Wear Black video. He said he is a misfit, as most of us are, as most of us older riders are. Well, yeah, that's right. The new riders are not that way and don't want to be. The stunt riders, the chopper guys, are still that way. Unless, yeah, that's right. You know, that's right. I mean, there's lots of things that our age group, let's say, maybe, and younger guys as well. And I'm not saying that's old guys, but you know, young guys as well feel like this. They feel like this. That actually you've been sold this. You've been told this. You've been force fed this by the likes of Harley Davidson for a long time. But it's not real. It's not real. Oh, sorry, it is real to us, I should say. It's real to us, but it's not real to you as the corporation, as the company. So if it's not real to you, then don't sell it, or don't spin us this yarn all the time. And this is what, for the last couple of years, 2, 3, 4 years, whatever, this has been my biggest problem, and you've probably heard me talking about it on the channel. When they release a new motorcycle, Harley Davidson in particular, but other companies do similar kinds of things, you know, and it's another level of marketing where they keep on talking about the old bikes and the old ways and the lifestyle and the story and the cowboy and the rider and, you know, the cowboy boots and all this kind of nonsense, you know. And it's just like the rebel and the motorcycle clubs and all this sort of stuff, and track racing or flat track racing, and, you know, all that sort of stuff. I mean, it's just, you know, if a company says they're releasing a new bike and they say they're making a video, promo video, I remember, I don't know what, let me just pick one off the top of my head. Royal Enfield, when they released their Himalayan the first time, you know, they were showing those bikes being ridden off road, and bits were falling off, but they were just showing, look, this is the new Himalayan, you know, to boldly go where no bike has gone before, or you can get there, it's cool, it's and it's just like, well, okay, you're just advertising your bike. Yeah, you're just advertising where you want to go on that bike, what it can do, what it can see, where you can see, and it's almost like they were coming in and say, you don't need the big adventure bike. You can just have this small thing and it will get you everywhere you ever want to be. Okay, whether you like that bike or not, whether you think it's a good, off-roady type adventure bike, a mini adventure bike or not, I tend to think it is. And I think it's a very good bike for the money that you're paying. I think it's very good. But it's just a simple marketing of that bike. Harley Davidson don't do that, and some other companies don't do that either. They try and sell you a whole line of what it's supposed to be. Well, what good questions. What should they be? What should they do? What yarn should they do? Well, first of all, okay, again, this is the first thing that Harley Davidson need to do is split their marketing approach, right? They need to split their marketing approach between the older generation or past riders and new and future riders. So it needs to be tailored marketing for those going forward and those of the past. You can't have marketing for everybody. It just doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't work like that in business. You've got to have targeted demographics. So they've got to split their marketing and their marketing styles for that. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you're not selling Harley Davidson riders Harley Davidson. You're selling them Harley Davidson product. So each product is going to be different, and you're going to have a different kind of ethos about it, right? So when you're selling the Pan America, it's got to be less chintzy kind of old style and more about performance, what this can do, can we get there, that kind of thing. And they kind of tried to do it, but then the Sports Rest came along and they were all over the place again, and the Nightster, and they made a right disaster of that as well. So that's one thing. They've got to split their marketing approach between the different demographics, not different demographics, but the older style and the current and the future style. That's one thing. The next thing is, right, that with their marketing in particular, right, they've got to reintroduce integrity, and they've got to reintroduce where you and I would be looking at a product or looking at a dealership or looking at any facet of Harley Davidson world or any other motorcycle company. If you're looking at them as well, you should say, I believe them. I believe what they're telling me, and I can see it as an honest product that they're selling me. I don't have to like it. I don't have to approve of it. I don't have to think it, it should be cheap or anything like that, but at least it's honest. And I don't think they've had that for a number of years. So they need to change the way that they're producing not only marketing content, but also how they're delivering their motorcycles through the dealerships, and also that whole buying experience, but the whole aftercare experience has to be different. And it has to be that they're maintaining integrity between themselves and you, or you and I as the end user. And this comes down to now the big thing, okay, is also about the waiting times, the parts availability, the amount of money that you're being charged, the lack of communication, that they're not communicating with owners over problems over their bikes, they're not rectifying problems, all this kind of stuff, right? This is what they need to do. This is the new approach, the new mentality that a company like Harley Davidson should be doing. Because guess what? The next generation coming through, the 18, 19, 17, 18, 19-year-olds who are going to get in bikes, they're going to be looking at that and they're going to go, no thanks, don't think so. Yes, you could argue as they get older, they might be turned on to Harley Davidson. But they're going to have a massive challenge with a new generation, the next generation coming through, or younger riders, let's say 25, 30-year-olds right now. they're probably having that problem right now anyway. But it's I don't think it's easy to sell that kind of lifestyle anymore. Whilst they're trying to it, and this is why it sounds so chintzy, so old-fashioned, because it's just not relevant anymore. People are not living that life. Whether you live in the United States or not, it's just the people are not living that life anymore. There's so many other things going on. There's so many other concerns going on. And it's, you know, I mean, there's a TV program I'm watching right now. I've been watching for a couple of months called Yellowstone. Really, really popular in the United States, right? I think it's their #1 TV program. We're talking about, cowboys, ranchers in Montana, right? It's good, a cool program, but it reminds me very much of Sons of Anarchy in that, right? That it's selling this view of being in Montana, being a ranch. But some of the stuff they get up to up there, it's just like, oh, hold on a minute. You never get away with that. You're never going to get away with murder and all this sort of stuff, or people just disappearing or whatever, or corrupt police, all this sort of stuff. In fact, the writer, funny enough, the writer producer of the show used to be on Sons of Anarchy. He was the policeman in Sons of Anarchy, right? So look, there's lots of similarities there. But the one of the problems that they're facing already in Montana, the actual people who live there, they've already been subjected to people trying to move to Montana based upon the TV program, because they think they're going to be experiencing this life in Montana, right? So there's already a bit of argy-bargy between the locals and this influx of people coming in. And it's a falsehood. It's a lie type thing. It's not a lie because it's just a TV program, and people mistaking a TV program for reality, right? And this is exactly it's exactly the same as Sons of Anarchy, in that people are looking at that program and think, wow, yeah, oh yeah, I really like that kind of outdoor lifestyle type thing. Or they thought, oh, this is what motorcycle clubs were really about. And everybody's scratching their heads thinking, this is not real. Come on, guys, just wake up. This isn't real, So it's a similar kind of thing, the TV, and you could go back in other TV programs as well, like The Sopranos. They had a similar kind of thing with local guys in New Jersey as well. There was cop shows who had similar kind of things as well. Very popular TV programs or marketing campaigns or whatever it is, they are just TV programs. They are just marketing campaigns. It's not reality. So if you want to try and get into something based upon that marketing scheme, you're already jumping into a lie, and everything will be a lie based upon what you're trying to achieve, But there we go. But there we go. Right, listen. Let us know what you think about this. I mean, I thought, I've gone on about this a lot, but when I hear these kinds of rumors or these kinds of comments from people, and I kind of think, what is the real story here? What are people really asking, or what are people really upset about? And I've tried to get into this today and try to understand what it is. And the more I dug into it, the more I was researching it and thinking about it this morning and last night, the more I thought, yeah, there is a big problem here. There is a lot of absurdity here, and there's a lot of false advertising, and there's a lot of a disconnect, and it's caused by a company acting like a corporation. They're not a small company who's really in with the community. They're not a little family-run business, in the community that they really want to break. No, they're a big corporation, and that's what they are. They are not, and they are not looking out for your interests. They are looking out for the interests of Harley Davidson. And they don't care. And I've said this before. As I said, the U.S. government has come down hard on them recently, the FTC. President Trump was not enamored with them at all because of the way they were acting as well. And, American riders and workers, they're not really happy with them because of the way they're acting as well. And, you know, people around the world have had their eyes, you know, wide open about this. Anyway, listen, let us know your thoughts on this. Let us know your thoughts about Harley Davidson. Is there a disconnect? Do they know bikers anymore? You know, do they know you? You know, are they out of touch with everything in that? And many people say, well, no, of course they're not out of touch because they're producing motorcycles that people are still buying, and there's a long waiting list, let's say, for people to want these bikes. I get it, absolutely right. But you know, are there some people who feel not, or or is this just a minority of people? Maybe that's it. Maybe it's a, you know, it's just a minority of people. But anyway, listen, once again, thanks for joining. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for, you know, the support of the channel. Any super chats or any super thanks later, or you can get in touch via the website or get support there as well. But anything you can suggest or anything you want me to discuss in future live videos, just let me know. And hopefully I'll do a lot more of these live shows in the future. Instead of doing a video about it, I'll just do a live show as well. And then you can have your say, you know, like in the chats today. And hopefully I can just quickly, you know, bring up the chat or bring up the comments as well. So you're part of it as well. But say, you know, these are just thoughts, just opinions. These are just reflections and observations of what I hear, what I see, and what I think sometimes is what people are thinking out there. And you know, sometimes it's right to have these conversations, and other times it's well, you know, you got to question the validity of anybody making a negative claim against a company like Harley Davidson. You know, so it's worth exploring whether these are bona fide complaints or reservations or not. You know? Right, anyway, thanks very much. Thanks, Ed. Thanks very much, Scoot. Thanks very much, and the rest of you who have been listening. Thanks very much for joining, and I'll see you again on another video. Like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And well, lots more videos coming out. There's probably a bit too many videos right now, and I've got too many videos already lined up. But as I say, I've got this project starting soon, so I won't be doing as many. I'm not going to be making videos, but there's so many videos already in the pipeline that, you know, the content won't stop. You're still going to see loads and loads and loads. But anyway, for now, what I'm going to do is just stick with the live shows as and when I can, and hopefully that'll be good. But anyway, listen, let us know. Send us emails if you wanted me to discuss any other aspect of the motorcycling world, motorcycle lifestyle type stuff, anything you want to see, you want to hear, whatever, let us know, and I'll get into that. Right, cheers and enjoy the rest of your day. Ta-ra, see you again, maybe tomorrow. Cheers.